Hi, the date is the 11th of June 2026, and I've been documenting my process of, entering the dating world. And I started off just like not even being able to give girls compliments, like saying, like, hey, I like your shirt, or like even starting a conversation. And then I got to the point where I actually got a couple of numbers. And I was like, wow, let's go. We've done it. We girlfriend in the bag. Well, I couldn't have been more wrong, because that this is where I enter the talking stage of not even a relationship, of pre-dating. So I haven't even I haven't even started dating yet, but I'm still working out the talking stages. And after about a week of going through a couple talking stages with a few different girls of the numbers I got, I can now talk about it a little more confidently and kind of my take on the whole talking stage thing. So, first thing I noticed is the person you're talking to has to be interested, or the talking stage is going to be really, really dry. Because some of the girls I got their numbers, I think either they didn't want to put as much energy in, or kind of just wanted me to put all the energy in. And I think that would reflect if in a relationship. So those were the people that the talking stage was really dry and not really, there wasn't a real vibe or energy to it. Then the other bit is when people have good energy, you can kind of tell, because it's very authentic, and they'll message back and they'll actually put energy into it. And there was this one girl I was talking to, and I actually messed up messaging her. And I, not messed up, but I said, I met her at a movie theater, and I said, hey, I heard this movie was really good. And then afterwards I was gonna type out, would you like to go see it? And then she responded to that right away saying, I heard it wasn't very good. And then I was like, okay, I'm caught. I'm going to have to switch it up and say, I never heard it was good. I just wanted to use it to ask you out, or something like that. Something a bit more smoother than that. And then I started with I never heard it was good, and press send. And then I was like, and then I just couldn't figure out how to type the other sentence in a smooth way. And I thought, it's done for me. I messed it up. And then she messaged back, and she says, like, she like did the laughing faces. And then we kept talking, and we actually sorted out a different movie and planned a date. And it went really well, and there was really good vibes in the conversation, not only because they put energy in, but even though I was nervous and I messed up a little bit, she was still really nice, and it's still like, and it still worked out. When, in terms of, there was this one girl, I got her number when I was hanging out with some of my friends in town, and we were going around to the different music bars and that. And I messaged her, and she was a little bit dry to reply, took a while to reply, and then her replies were really dry. And then I asked her, and then we kind of got into a conversation. I was like, hey, what do you like to do for fun? And I was like, oh yeah, that's cool, I like to do this. And she was like, oh, I like that too. And I was like, maybe we should do it together. And then she was like kind of into it. And then I suggested a time and day where I could pick her up and we could go do something. And then she said, sorry, I'm busy that weekend. And what I learned is, don't be that guy that keeps following up. Have some self-respect. If they say they're busy and then they don't suggest an alternative date, they clearly don't want to go on a date that much, And then another situation was one that I'm a little bit disappointed about, because I was in town, and I saw some very old I guess you could say friends, people that I used to know, two girls, and I got one of their number, and they were really nice. And I guess there's a lesson in this because I messaged them 3 days later, which clearly was a bit of a fumble on my part because I think that you kind of have to approach these with a little bit of speed and not leave it too long. But they just didn't reply, which it just is what it is. A little bit disappointed about that, but definitely learned the lesson is message them right after, or not right after, like the day after, or 2 days at the least. And then different talking stage was a bit slow to begin with, but even if people have bad messaging habits, like they don't message for a day and a half, or like don't read into people's messaging habits. Be like, oh no, she hasn't messaged me. She must hate me. She must not actually like me. She's not putting the energy in. Messaging is a complicated thing, and it's hard because, we're humans, so we're made to talk in real life. So I try not to put too much weight to people's messaging habits, but she didn't message me for a while, but when she did message me, it was pretty straightforward and really nice. And then I was like kind of getting the vibe that maybe she didn't want to talk as much, or maybe she didn't like talking online. And then I sent her a message and she instantly replied. And then we started kind of a conversation, and it actually started going really well. And what I thought was like bluntness, at first I thought it was like bluntness and she doesn't really like me. She's just really straightforward. And I'm not implying anything when I say she's German, but she's very straightforward. And it was really refreshing because I'm personally find myself a bit straightforward, and I really like that. And so we ended up, we have a date. Don't know the details of it. We planned a day and planned kind of what we were going to do, but I sent her a message about like when I should come by or where, and again with the bad messaging habits, she hasn't replied, but that's fine. But yeah, I'd say main lessons I learned from the talking stages: don't push too far. If people aren't interested, leave it. Don't read too much into people's messaging habits. And it's very, how do I say this? How you got the number is more important than I think a lot of people realize, because the ones that I had the driest, low energy, not as good conversations with in the talking stage online a little bit was the people who it was very brief, and we didn't get to really kind of feel each other's vibe out in the real world when I got the number. And I think that's because people don't want to commit and put energy into stuff when they don't know, like, if they like you or not. There's only brief. I only just said hi, asked how their day's going, and then asked for the number. That wasn't a good situation. And so even all those situations I talked about being turned down, even if I had gotten their number, it wouldn't have gone as well. As much as now I try to just, be friendly and with no intention of dating. And if we get along, then I ask for the number, and then maybe we could see where that goes. And that's very mutual, I think. Anything else with the talking stage? I'd say I don't really get into this stuff as much because don't use like Instagram or Snapchat or that many social medias. But I'd say asking for the number usually works better, because Instagram is kind of like, you seem cool, maybe I want to keep up with your life, or it's not as much as a commitment, and I think it's not as good with saying intentions, because I think in today's society it's a lot easier to set the intentions of wanting to go out with someone if you ask them for their number instead of asking them for their Instagram or something like that. But I think that it's very overstated what online stuff matters, because even the online stuff is so heavily influenced by the real life interaction and the vibe and the energy and the kind of situation. So I think that you shouldn't give too much credit to the online. Oh, she's bad at messaging. Oh, we got along in person, then she didn't like me online, or anything like that. I think that just use online to see the person again. Like, just use it for communication instead of, trying to have a whole conversation, like have like a deep chat or whatever. Like, I think that's where people slip up a lot. I think, at least for me personally, it's easiest just to have a little bit of small talk and then maybe a couple of jokes, usually there's a lot of laughing faces just by the way I message, because I'm not very good at messaging. So I type very slowly and I don't know. As I was saying with the example before, I'm not very good at messaging, so that's usually where the humor comes from in the conversation. But yeah, small talk, a little humor, and then schedule a meetup. Simple, easy. That's obviously what I've learned so far. The dates are going to be a whole nother situation, but I'll take that on when I take that on. And technically 2 dates planned. So that's definitely pretty awesome. That's big for me. Yeah. But that's all for this video. Talking stages and all that. That's the end of the video. Thanks for watching.